Lads, please like and comment. That would really help the progression of this channel. Thank you.
Yeah. And we're live now, lads, and I'm yellow for some reason. Jeez, man, I should lay off all the carotene. Sorry, like I said, for taking a very long hiatus, you know. You have to take a break sometimes, even though it comes at the cost of dooming your channel to destitute, but yeah, what can you do? Didn't have any Barry's tea, so I had to settle on some rat shite from Aldi. It happens. Now, a fella I know was like, which one of the videos that I have saved in my watch later should I watch? And he's like, the one about the Dnepropetrovsk maniacs. I was like, man, do you really want me to get fucking banned? But then he's like, no, sure, the fella censored the video anyway. I was like, is it the one that I have saved? Just to make sure. Alright, we can't watch this anyway. I know that for a fact. I think it's this one. Might be.
The era of DevOps has driven tremendous innovation.
These three Ukrainian teenagers...
Yeah, that's the one. We'll watch this one anyway. See what the crack is.
These three Ukrainian teenagers claimed the lives of 21 innocent people over the course of 21 days.
Boo! Oh, miss.
During the terror, the boys made video recordings of their spree, which are considered
Fucking kill me, lads. I'm so sorry for being this autistic.
to be some of the most chilling leaked videos ever uploaded to the internet. Welcome back to Twisted Minds. My name's James, and today...
This is one of those like fancy pantsy production fucking videos, so... Yeah, and he has like 1 million subscribers. So he definitely censors a bunch of the stuff it says. So we're safe for now.
We're going to be talking about the
We need to turn these
Dnepropetrovsk
godforsaken subtitles off. What are they doing? Oh wait, these are part of the video. They're always so annoying to look at. But anyway.
maniacs. Gruesome crimes resulting in the loss of one's life.
Just in case you don't know who these fellas are. So the Dnepropetrovsk. I can't spell for shit. Maniacs are these like Ukrainian chaps. Mechanics, yeah. Yep. Dnepropetrovsk mechanics. So the Dnepropetrovsk maniacs are these like serial killers, right? Viktor Saichenko. And who's the other fella? Igor Supranyuk. Right, so these fucking pieces of shit are just going around like unaliving people. They're really out here playing fucking Red Dead Redemption 2. Like with the horse thefts and the fucking and the sawed-off shotguns, but like in real life, right? Like these lot, like the reason why I think like serial killers and shit like intrigue a lot of people is because of that aspect, like how much little care they have for like morality and like other people's like safety and stuff like that, right? Like for people like them, not just for them, but people like them, like Ted Bundy, why they're so interesting is because to them life is like an open world game. They use anything and anyone to their benefit. And some fucked up people like women, they have this like, oh, he's mysterious, and oh Jesus, it's disgusting. But anyway,
are usually done under the cover of dark.
These lads were in Ukraine in Dnepropetrovsk, right? So I'll show you where that is, right? I'll show you what it looks like, right? Like the city itself is already kind of depressing to look at. Like it's like the Soviet commie blocks, right? Imagine you already live like a really fucking depressive life in like Soviet commie blocks. And then some fucking two dudes who are like, what are they, like law students or something? And you're just minding your own business and they stop you with a hammer and just, well, spare you the details.
Darkness or behind closed doors. They are rarely seen happening in broad daylight, let alone turned into a viral video. This is practically unheard of, especially since before recent times. However, that is exactly what went down in the case of the Dnepropetrovsk maniacs.
Dnepropetrovsk, he says.
Whose unthinkable acts and utter disregard for human life made them some of the most notorious serial killers of the modern age. Those living in Dnepropetrovsk, a small town in Ukraine, had little more on their minds than ice cream and working on their tan in the summer of 2000.
Oh yeah, Dnepropetrovsk also has a beach, like, so it's not that depressive, but still.
7. This is because a heinous string of murders were keeping them on edge. I mean, that's enough to put anyone off their Ben and Jerry's, right? No one was spared the
yeah, shit. If these lads are still alive, right? Is Ukraine recruiting people from prison to fight in the war? Do you think these people are fighting a war? Like, not for, like, Ukraine or, you know, to ward off Russian aggression, but just to go there to kill people, basically. And then Ukraine gets blamed by Russian propaganda because of people like them, you know, who just go to war, you know, to kill people, to unalive people, fuck! TOS, for fuck's sake! To unalive people, right? For that specific purpose. And then they get caught, they go to jail, and Russian propaganda is like, look, all Ukrainian soldiers are violent. Right? I hope they're not on the front lines.
Criteria of the cold-hearted killers.
Zelensky and the SBU were smart enough to not let these people fight, even though they want to.
Women.
And I know in a lot of cases, this is common for like armies all around the world. If there's ever like a recruitment campaign, usually a lot of the psychopaths sign up because, you know, free reign, do whatever the fuck I want. Almost said it. Do undescribable things to people that I'm not even going to talk about.
And even children being targeted in these random acts of brutal murder.
See,
what made this even scarier was that the crimes, which lasted between June and July 2007, had no apparent connections or motives. This meant that the police were left scratching their heads while the bodies piled up. How normal human beings...
Yeah, and then when it's like... When it's someone who like... let me think, I don't know. Is just driving at like an awkward time of day where it's easy for them to not get detected. They throw some like substance in your trunk and then they're like, oh, what's that? And like take the fucking piss out you. Right. Beat the shit out of you, get a confession. Like, that's Russian police anyway, but I don't know about Ukrainian police, but it's all the same, like post-Soviet stuff. Like, it'd be the smallest shit, like you'd be pissing in a corner or spray painting and then they take you back to the police station and do whatever they want to you. That was already common back in the 90s. But when it's actual fucking murders, no one gives a fuck, right? Like, no one gives a fuck because you actually have to solve shit, you know, you actually have to, like, look for clues and for evidence, and then who the fuck wants to do that?
May find pleasure snoozing the alarm for a couple extra times on a cold morning. These monsters would rather watch the life in their victims' eyes fade away. Eventually, Igor Saprignac...
With the three of them. This one looks like he hasn't discovered fire yet. Fucking ooga booga. Me grog drak woman back to cave.
And Viktor Sayenko, both
Me skin mammoth. Me wear necklace from saber-tooth tiger.
As well as their friend Alexander Henza were arrested after racking up a sickening body count of 21 people in just under a month.
They'd be fucking.
But how did the minds of these young boys become so sinister at such a young age?
Man, I'm so immature, I can't even hear the word body count without being a fucking dickhead about it.
Well, Igor and Sayenko had a hobby of torturing and killing animals in their teenage years, before
they parrot a body count.
moving on to bigger prey. This is often a common pattern with serial killers.
That's some Voss shit right there, man.
Who begin exploring their twisted fantasies about taking life. The two would often pose for photographs with the animals they killed. These included dogs and cats that were hung.
Elephant in the room. Fella looks like he's off his fucking head, like he's higher than a kite. Like, they have to be taking something to be confident enough to walk up to people and just, like, take the most precious thing away from them, which is their consciousness, right, that they were given at birth, right? Like, the complete disregard you have to just have all this confidence to come up and, like, end people's existence. It's fucking perplexing. Like, how does that even work?
Hung to death while
How do you end up like this?
Alexander took photos
They have to be taking something. This fella definitely is. Look at the fucking face on him, man.
of the two of them.
Obligatory World of Warships ad.
As these murders took place over a short period of time, it does make you wonder how a group of friends could all just flick a switch to become monsters. To get this answer, we have to take a look into the past of the three friends. Victor and Alexander had been friends from a young age. Igor later moved to the area, and the three became thick as thieves in the 3rd grade. The original duo were good students before Igor came along, but afterwards, their grades and morals began to slip like a landslide. One of the teachers from their school said that Igor was a shy boy, but...
Yeah, exactly. Like, these fellas, right, they somehow went from, like, he says, being shy to, like, having the courage to come up to people and just end their existence. Like, what the fuck?
Didn't mind coming out of his comfort zone to start fights with other students. By 8th grade, the three coming out of his comfort zone to start fights
What the fuck is fella doing?
with other students. By 8th grade, the three boys had really bonded. In fact, they all decided that they would help each other get over their fears. For example, Victor and Igor both stood on a balcony over their 14th floor apartment for hours, just hanging over the railing. This quest to squash the fears of the group continued when they set out to help Alexander, who was squeamish and afraid of blood. So, to get over this common phobia, the group decided to do what any rational person would do and decided to torture stray dogs.
TOS.
They did so by finding wild dogs in woodland areas,
I condemn
which
this.
they would string up from
By the way, Twitch, I condemn this. I do not support animal abuse.
trees and disembowel. To remember these moments, the boys would take photographs with the defenseless creatures and draw racist
Lad, can you, like, tone it down? I am streaming.
and sadistic symbols with
can't
the
hear
animal's blood. To put a cherry on top, they would also draw Hitler mustaches.
Well, you know, Ukraine, like, what can you do? So ein Durst. Was wollen wir trinken? Wait, hold on. If you knows, you knows. See, this is what I mean, playing into Russian propaganda, man. Like, they say Ukrainians are Nazis and shit. Ukrainians do like doing Nazi shit, but, like, as a joke. And, like, the fact that even these fellas do it is fucking hilarious.
Perform Nazi salutes. Now, I think the irony of this idolization is that Hitler actually...
Man, it's actually fucking... You know what's boggling? Not even how they ended up in the mind state to do all of these things. Well, obviously, we know DSM-5, antisocial personality disorder. But how the fuck Russian propaganda hasn't used them to show that Ukrainians are Nazis? Right? They'd be like, oh, Ukrainians are Nazis. Look at these serial shmurdas who draw Hitler mustaches and do, like, Nazi salutes, man. They could have fucking... And this is from ages ago, right? Before 2014. They could use this as justification. Look, we invaded Crimea. But it's not like they became Nazis after that. They were Nazis before. Look at these fellas. They did this and they did this bad thing and that bad thing. They could have done that. But fucking hell, they missed out on an opportunity. Now, don't take it up if you're a Russian propagandist watching this from inside a troll office in St. Petersburg. Don't take this opportunity to spread bullshit. I'm just saying.
actually loved animals. That means that even Adolf Hitler could have been sickened by the acts of these men. Yeah, let that sink in for a moment. The first murders committed by the Dnepropetrovsk maniacs took place on June 25, 2007. The victim was a 33-year-old woman called Ekaterina Alchenko, who was
God. He didn't say that, did he? But if Twitch takes this down, deserved.
Everyone subscribe to Shady Sheep, or I will take your means of reproduction.
Igor and Victor calmly walked past her and then quickly turned around, striking the unsuspecting woman in the head with a hammer.
Yeah, how did this happen? They went from being shy to just being able to do this. Right? The fuck?
In a sick twist of fate, it was Ekaterina's own mother who discovered the body. Natalia didn't even recognize the face of her own daughter after the number of blows they had made.
That's sad.
Once Ekaterina was dead, it seemed that the two got a hankering for killing, and the buffet was well and truly open. Just 2 hours after their run-in with Ekaterina, they targeted Roman Tatarovich, who was sleeping on a park bench when the hammer was smashed into his face until he was unrecognizable. In yet another ironic twist, it happened right in front of a prosecutor's office. That's like watching a pirated movie in the parking lot of a cinema. Of course, watching a blurry copy of the new 007 isn't really gonna violently end a life.
Oh my god, another one of these.
On July 1st, two victims, Evgenia and Nikolai, were also found murdered. Gonna violently end a life. On July 1st, two victims is of a prosecutor's office. In yet another ironic twist, it happened right in front of a prosecutor's office.
I got one.
That's like watching a pirated movie in the parking lot of a cinema. Of course,
It's like saying cheese pizza is bad in front of a wash pan. It's like saying HP is bad. Alright, no. It's like saying the USSR is evil in Hassan Abbey subreddit.
Of course, watching a blurry copy of the new 007 isn't really gonna violently end a life.
Listen, as I tried.
On July 1st, two victims, Evgenia and Nikolai, were also found murdered in a town called Novomonostrovsk. Just 5 days later, another 3 people were found dead in Dnepropetrovsk, which included a recently discharged army recruit named Igor, who was targeted by the hammer-wielding men while he was walking home from a club late one night. Just like Ekaterina, it was Igor's own mother who discovered the body outside their apartment.
Man, you can't stop saying Ekaterina. It's Ekaterina. Okay, no, I'm not even.
Poor victim to be bludgeoned to death was Elna Schramm, a 28-year-old guard. According to Victor's confession, it was Igor who hit her in the head with a hammer after Schramm approached him, after which he repeatedly struck her while she was on the ground. After the murder, the brazen killers took the bag of clothes she was holding and used them to wipe the blood off their hammer. This must have been so that it would be nice and clean for their next victim. A mother of 3.
Disgusting, and like the fact that they're completely like, the fact that they went from being like shy and not exposed to this kind of shit to being completely the fuck is the word? Desensitized to it is baffling. Like, I don't know how it happened.
3 and the wife.
I don't even know like whether it's sociopathy or psychopathy we're talking about. Like, were they always like this, or did something in their lives trigger this kind of behavior? We don't know.
Of a disabled man, Valentina Hanza. The very next day, two 14-year-old boys
Hanza, she related to the other fella.
Were attacked while fishing. One of the young boys, Andrei, was killed, but Vadim miraculously escaped the ordeal. Although he had been spared the brutal treatment of the Dnepropetrovsk maniacs, he was beaten by the police during questioning as they suspected him of killing his friend. Luckily, they realized
Typical story for Eastern Europe.
that the murder was connected to the string of killings happening in the surrounding areas and eventually let Vadim go.
Oh, they just let him go, you know. Here, I'm just gonna beat the shit out of you. Real quick. Oh wait, it wasn't you, it was a string of murders? Fuck's sake, man. Why'd you drag this kid in it? Come on, go.
Vadim was asked to help the police to create a sketch of the
And they asked him to make a sketch.
Something
as
that
well.
became...
Like, they after beating the shit out of him, they're like, oh yeah, draw a sketch of him. He's like, oh okay.
became a major break.
That's the funniest situation, man. No, just imagine, just think about this, right? The police being just average Eastern European police, pick some like innocent kid off the street, and they're like, "Oh, there's been a string of murders. We're having a power trip right now. We want to beat the shit out of someone. This fella looks like an easy target. Was it you, dickhead? Was it you, son of a suka, that is going around killing all these women?" And then it's like, no, stop. It's not him. It's like these other fellas, right? It's like a whole string of murders. Oh, well, here, Drosk, and he's like disheveled, right? He's like, his arm is like twisted, right? He has like a black eye, like a swollen jaw, right? He has like blood coming out of like his temples and shit from like all the beatings, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, here, draw a sketch of the of the people you saw committing these crimes," and he's like, "Okay." Just think about how funny that situation was, right? Just a bit of light in like a dark story.
Breakthrough for the case and the first nail in the coffin for the cold-hearted killers. Sadly, there would be a dozen more deaths at the hands of the maniacs before they were stopped for good.
Damn, they even took a cross out of a cemetery. Fucking dickhead. Can't have shit in Dnepropetrovsk.
Committing murder wasn't enough for Igor and Victor. They wanted a chance to relive the moment in their homemade snuff films. When the pair were finally arrested, the police discovered a collection of films saved on their phones and laptops. The most famous of which leaked onto the internet and became a grim viral video. The film was known as 3 Guys, 1 Hammer, a name that referenced another viral video that came out around the same time called...
we're gonna skip the title. We all know what video he's talking about.
Out of respect for the victim, I
still have it saved in my personal library.
think it goes without saying, don't Google this stuff. In 3 Guys, 1 Hammer...
Do you know what, lads? You know, maybe we'd take a wee gander, you know.
The murder of 48-year-old Sergei...
Maybe after. Maybe, because I actually never watched these types of videos. But to be honest, man, after hearing all this shit, I don't even want that.
...a hammer in a yellow bag and looking through binoculars at passing cars, hunting for their next victim. Knocked to the
like,
ground.
we all like a bit of gore, and from time to time, like, you know, the funky towns and all of that bollocks, but... There's a limit.
Before the sickening attack in the nearby woods begins.
We're gonna skip this part, it's too gruesome. And of course it's an ad. They made me watch this video.
One of them then stabs the victim in the eye and stomach with a screwdriver. I did warn you that things were going to get worse, and you don't get much worse than the Dnepropetrovsk maniacs. After the killing, the 3 walk back to their car and are seen laughing about the act before washing their hands and hammer with a bottle of water. If there were ever an embodiment of pure evil, it would undoubtedly be these guys. On the day of his murder, Sergei Yatsenko rang his wife to tell her he was going to fill his motorbike and then visit his grandchild. Sadly, he never made it to his son's house, with the phone data showing that his cell phone was turned off around 6 p.m. After hearing nothing from Sergei for hours, his wife, Ludmila, got nervous and formed a search party with her friend. She was worried that he had fallen off his bike, but the outcome was much more grisly than that.
Man, I need to know Twitch TOS for videos like this, man. It's way too gruesome.
To Ludmila's frustration, she couldn't report her husband as missing, as...
Like, I don't get, how could you be like this? Like, what the fuck? No, for real, right? Like, it said these boys were, like, shy and all of this shit. Were they, like, keeping all, like, the murderous energy inside them? You know? Were they all just, like, bottling it up? Like, they were edging... You know what I mean? Like, they... They were edging, and then they started gooning, like, with all their murders and stuff like that after they conquered their fears. Maybe they just had to get... Maybe they had it inside them, like I said, like, it wasn't the entire time, but they were too scared to, like, go out and do it, and when they, like, conquered their fears by, like, hanging off of this, hanging off... We all know what they should have been fucking hanging off of, but that's besides the point. Then they were like, oh shit, now I have the courage, and maybe, like, they even took, like, spick a spat to go out and be able to do, you know, some liquid courage to go out and be able to do all of this stuff. They did it the first time, got a bit of confidence, and started doing it more. Plausible that they've always been like this. Because I can't imagine them becoming like this for some reason or another, right? Like, so sociopathy. Like, I'm no fucking therapist or whatever you call it, but it's not triggered by what you call it. It's usually triggered by some like traumatic event. So far, I haven't seen any traumatic events.
Ukrainian lost as
they've been living some pretty privileged nepo baby lives so far. So
the person must be missing for 72 hours before a report can be made. 4 days after going missing, a local spotted one of Ludmila's posters of Sergei and remembered seeing an abandoned motorbike in a wooded area and took the man's relations to the spot. That's where the decomposing body of Sergei was eventually found. 12 more gruesome murders followed, including a pregnant woman who had her fetus cut out of her womb. A victim, a woman named Lydia, happened to survive her brutal hammer attack despite being elderly. The reason why the maniacs didn't follow through with the act was because her dogs barked and scared them away.
I'm telling you, man, if I upload this video to YouTube and it gets taken down, what the fuck, YouTube? This is up, by the way. Like, this is, what? Twisted Minds. I don't know, maybe he's allowed to do this, because he gets views and I fucking don't. Life ain't fair.
Although the police sketch of 14-year-old Vadim Lakho...
Can't get over the police sketch. They beat the shit out of some fucking kid and he's like, oh wait, draw the sketch, by the way. I know we just beat the shit out of you, right? But just draw the sketch first real quick.
helped with the capture, along with Lydia identifying the suspects. It was actually a foolish idea to make some quick cash that saw the maniacs behind bars. The three friends were arrested on July 23, 2007 after Igor tried to sell a mobile phone belonging to a victim for 150 Ukrainian dollars, around 6 US dollars.
Dude could have just said dollars, like for, what was it, like 600 hryvnia? 150 hryvnia, right? But he said 6 Ukrainian dollars. Like, I know Ukraine is trying to integrate with the West, but moving on to dollars, lads, come on, you're taking it way too far.
To a pawn shop. It was when the phone was switched on to prove that,
it's a nitpick,
that it worked that law enforcement managed to get a location ping. Now, whether it was just lightning-fast police work or a very slow store employee, Igor and Victor were arrested while still in the store. Although Alexander was later arrested at home. He had enough time to flush the other stolen phones down the toilet, but police...
Damn, the fact that they have stock images of phones being flushed down the toilet when we're talking about a real-life situation where that happened is fucking wild.
Did manage to recover the missing phones, although I don't envy whoever got the job of rooting through the sewers. I can only imagine that it was very similar.
I'd do it. I mean, like, I'd do it, like, literally. I've been on the fucking job seekers, like, after I got fired, you know, for owing my company 10 grand, so, I'd be happy to scour a sewage system for a serial killer's phone with all the evidence on it. Why not? Must be a lot of money, even in Ukraine.
To the scene in Jurassic Park 3, after the Spinosaurus ate the phone.
Well, I'm telling you, there's more ads than gruesome stories.
The phone and video evidence found in the possession of the three men was shown in court on October 29,
Maybe this is why the video is still up and why we get taken down.
In all, there were 300 photographs and 2 horrific videos. The defense tried to argue that the material was obtained illegally and that the videos and photographs were photoshopped to look like the victims. Yep, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. They tried to claim deep fake. When the maniacs were asked to identify their victims, they said they didn't know who they were. That is when Judge Ivan Senchenko sassily told them that they were not blind and dropped the gavel so hard it almost split his desk in half.
Well, it has no, like, in fairness, right, not to play devil's advocate, but it doesn't have anything to do with them being blind. Like, they could see who the fellow was, it's just they're lying that they couldn't recognize him.
If any fiber
Like, you know, I don't remember everyone I fucking talked to, let alone people like on the okay method.
of you might think that these guys could actually have a shred of decency somewhere deep down in their twisted little minds.
Well, no, if they've been doing this shit for like their entire post getting over their fears of life, and they could have done it if they weren't so pussy before, I don't think they have anything redeeming about them, to be honest with you. If my theory reigns true, that is.
You hear what other pictures were found. In their twisted little minds, just wait until you hear what other pictures were found. You see, it was not enough to brutally murder a person, but they also enjoyed visiting the funerals of their victims so that they could flip off the coffins and gravestones for fun. I mean, these guys would make the devil look like Baby Yoda. The men were charged with involvement.
What the fuck? That is fucking brutal, man. Why would you even do that? You know, it's like that fella who got like really popular on TikTok because he drew some fella's grandmother on his leg after he left a hate comment. But that's after he left a fucking hate comment. These fellas, not only did they... someone's, you know... I don't know what word to fucking use, alright? I don't want to get demonetized. Someone's grandmother, after she got buried, whatever. They do that shit to her, they do that shit to her graves, like, being disrespectful. Nah, these fellas don't deserve a life sentence, man. They deserve a whole lot more, and I'm not gonna say what they deserve, because again, I'm scared, like, this video is already walking on eggshells, like. But goddamn, man, what the fuck? You can't be doing shit like this, obviously, like. Damn. The fact that these fellas lived at some point, and they're still alive, I think. It's fucking scary.
29 separate crimes, including 21 murders and 8 attacks where the victims miraculously survived. Igor was charged with 21 counts of murder, 8 armed robberies, and 1 count of animal cruelty. Victor was charged with 18 murders, 5 robberies, and also 1 count of animal cruelty. On February 11, 2009, the court found Igor Supremyak and Viktor Parhamenko guilty of all of their crimes.
I just hate that fella's
They were
face.
sentenced
Not the fella
to life
narrating, the fella behind him.
imprisonment, which finally...
He looks like handsome Squidward got hit with a fucking anvil too hard, like the Ooga Booga fella. Fucking hate the face on him.
Put an end to the depraved reign of the
Face only a dead mother could love.
Dnepropetrovsk maniacs.
Alexander,
the boy's personal cameraman, got 9 years behind bars and was only charged with 2 counts of armed robbery and received no murder charges.
Eastern European court system, what can I say? Or just any court system, really.
As it was never...
When it comes to persecuting people for misdemeanors, all about it. When it comes to persecuting people for real crimes, we don't know, not enough evidence.
Never proved that he took part in any of the killings. With these sentences, it must be up for discussion. Do you think Alexander was involved in more than just holding the camera during the murders? Do you think that his sentence should have been long?
Yeah. If you're involved in anything, listen, the Nuremberg trials, right? Sure, fucking the Nazi leaders themselves didn't like commit any crimes themselves, as far as I know, but they definitely commanded people who did. You know, they were overlookers, onseers. You know, they weren't the ones actually doing the crimes. The ones doing the crimes were shot like without trial. But you know, the fact that they got shot as well after a trial, right, just because they were involved, even though they said we're just following orders. This fella should have got the exact same sentence as all of them, because he was there, right? It means he supported it morally, just because he wasn't the one doing it. It could have easily been him. Like, the fuck? Well, the fact that it wasn't, I guess, saved his ass, but saved his arse. Jesus, I'm turning American. Well, all this Americanization is, it's hurting Ireland. Yeah, just good. I guess the fact that he didn't do it himself saved his arse, but he was definitely just as guilty as the rest of them.
Longer?
Because he supported it.
I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for tuning in to Twisted Minds. That was the case of the Dnepropetrovsk maniacs. And
thanks, man. And just in future, we'll see what kind of other shit he has. Sure, we're already fucked anyway, so we're not gonna watch anything. This is enough for today, just for my mental fortitude. But Nathaniel, the 11-year-old killer, and Caetano, what the fuck kind of name is that? I shot my mom. 100 murders in 6 months. Those are rookie numbers. We got to bump those numbers up. 60 plus victims. He looks like victims of what? Like he looks like he spits in people's food. I killed my family. The fucking face he has on that thumbnail. Nah, there's just something funny about how all the thumbnails are like the same. It's like a mix of like the faces and the little subtitles. Like fucking kill me. I shot my daddy. Oops. We can make content out of this, man. Okay, these are just boring, right? Like the new. You know what, man? What's your name? Twisted Minds. You should make more of these types of thumbnails. They crack me up, especially after watching something as dark. But what do you lads think, right? Because I have no clue, right? These fellas showed no signs of being like all psychopathy, like back when they were like children in school, right? But then as soon as they turned like what was it, legal age, or like one of them was like 17 or something, like around like adulthood. They like bet their fears by like hanging off ledges and shit, and just went straight to fucking just unaliving people. And I'd be wondering, like, were they always like that? Or were they just like way too pussy to do any of this shit? And then when they got over their fears, they were like, "All right, yeah, it's clobbering time." Or did some traumatic event that they didn't disclose, got them like this? Like the fact that they're all like this, despite the fact that they lived like pretty normal lives, they're even privileged like nepo babies compared to the rest of like the people in that city. I don't know, man. It's odd, but I think they're always like that. They're just too pussy to commit their crimes before, right? Because there's nothing that could turn people this, like, immoral. Like, if they're sociopaths, they'd still have a shred of fucking empathy. They weren't, This is like some Michael Myers shit, like, pure evil type bollocks, They should make true crime dramas about Eastern European murderers more. Like, the Western fellas get way too much spotlight, like Ted Bundy and, who's the other cat? Who's the other cunt? What's his name? Jeffrey Dahmer. Right, all of them get way too much spotlight. We need to do some Eastern Europe biopics about this fella as well as Chikatilo. But anyway, I'm not a fucking white girl in my 20s. This ain't my cup of tea. I just reacted to something one of the subs told me to react to. So if there's anything less gruesome and more like political oriented that I should react to on Twitch in the future to boost the number of subscribers, because I upload more, hence the... No, wait, I phrased that sentence wrong. I'm really fucking tired. Hold on with me for a second. Hence why I'm asking to recommend this, so I can upload more videos to Twitch, which would boost my view count and boost my subscribers. Right, there we go. It still sounded wanky, but I'll be trying to make more video essays, but in the meantime, while I'm writing a script, I'll be doing some shit like this, but hopefully something less gruesome. Anyway, lads, good luck to you. Stay sharp. I'll be seeing you, fuck knows, man. I don't have like a proper schedule. Right, look.
Кінські роздьори, дібрівські ліси, гайчурські хлопці чистої роси, свиснеш із дуба, чуть на 3 віки, скрізь мої краяни, махновці, козаки. розлита воля, гірше й за труд, соловей розбійник народився.
Everyone subscribe to Shady Sheep, or I will take your means of reproduction